People thought Angel Reese was crazy last year when she said, yes, Eva's is coming up. We deserve more since I am here, and if you don't give us what we want, we will sit out. Are you crazy? Sit out and kill all of Caitlin Clark's momentum. Well, guess what? Just this week, W players chose to strike. Not on strike yet, but it is officially on the table. Oh, and this was 98%. Yes, that level of unanimity among players is unusual. However, if this occurs, the WNBA as we know it may come to an end as rival leagues emerge, saying, hey, you don't like the W, come play here. We'll pay you more. These leagues have already signed dozens of prominent WNBA players, implying that the previous league is no longer relevant. We tried, but it failed. So how did this happen, right? When things are going well, it may die. Well, let me explain why that happened. Money. It is always money. Caitlin Clark comes into the W and single-handedly elevates the league. For example, the average game without Caitlin Clark drew 394,000 viewers, whereas the average Caitlin Clark game drew 1.4 million. This is more than a 200% rise for one player. However, it impacted the entire league. As we all know, interest in the W as a whole is increasing. We had firsthand experience with it. Consider the average finals ratings before Caitlin Clark, which were around 600,000, but her debut year had 1.6 million viewers and she was not even involved. And the timing was ideal for a new media rights contract. They'd get to cash in on Caitlin Clark's popularity. So the W inked a $2.2 billion contract to broadcast their game beginning in 2026. They also extended to include 6 teams, with each paying up to $250 million to enter. So why not share the wealth? At All-Star, players were all upset, wearing "pay us what you owe us" shirts. But the owners say no. We floated this league for decades before Caitlin Clark, and now you want to split the proceeds. How about splitting the debt from years ago? Oh no, you did not want to do that, but now you want money. In fact, the NBA has kept it afloat, paying approximately $10 million per year. However, during Clark's debut year, the W lost more money than ever before, totaling $50 million. How is this possible? Because players preferred more private planes to games. So although earning more than ever before, they also spent more money. At the same time, I understand where the players are coming from. First, consider private planes. Yes, you cannot bring Caitlin Clark on American Airlines with me. Well, me, definitely. But some of you, I'm not so sure. It's like in the NBA, a random fan saying, hey, look up, can I get the aisle seat? Sorry, but I have a bunch. It does not work. In addition, there's the compensation. Last year, the WNBA Supermax salary was $250,000. The average pay is $120,000 with a minimum of $66,000. However, if they go on strike, those figures fall to zero, so they start negotiating. Last July, the league sent a proposal to the players, and we don't know what it said, but we do know how they responded. One player stated, yes, we received a proposal from the league, which was a slap in the face. Then MVP runner-up Nafisa Collier lobbed a grenade into the discussions. She claimed the commissioner said something awful.
I also asked how she planned to fix the fact that players like Caitlin, Angel, and Paige, who are clearly driving massive revenue for the league, are making so little for their first 4 years. Her response was, Caitlin should be grateful she makes $16 million off the court, because without the platform that the WNBA gives her, she wouldn't make anything. What? And in that same conversation, she told me, players should be on their knees thanking their lucky stars for the media rights deal that I got them.
What? It's one thing to bargain with someone you disagree with. Negotiating with someone you despise is 100 times more difficult. However, some argue that this cannot be addressed because what the players actually want is revenue share, which NBA players already have. See, those players split all basketball-related money 50-50 with the owners, which means that if the league does well financially, so do the players, and the players see the league's incredible trajectory and want to ride it. But this isn't all they want. They also want private flights for every team throughout the year. Professionalism standards apply throughout the league. For example, they refuse to practice at a community recreation center, which I thought was the greatest option until I read in the Connecticut Sun that they were ejected off their own court for a 2-year-old's birthday party. Seriously, this occurred during the playoffs. They also demand increased rosters and benefits, but the owners refuse. Yes, we will pay you more, but not on a revenue share basis like the NBA does. In reality, they promised rises ranging from a maximum of $250,000 to $1.3 million, an average pay of $128,000 to $530,000 $30,000 and a minimum of $66,000 to $250,000 across the league. This sounds great, but the players say no. In fact, we despise that. We are going on strike. If you don't give us NBA-style reps here, we'll see that this league will continue to expand while you attempt to keep us here at this fixed salary. And we don't care if you lost money on the WNBA for years. That was your decision. You wanted to launch a WNBA league. That's on you, and now we're here. So we want a cut. Even Caitlin Clark stated that this is the biggest moment in WNBA history, so we will battle for everything we deserve. She also stated that we must play basketball since Caitlin understands that a strike may end the entire event. Simply look at baseball. In 1994, baseball was America's most popular sport. They went on strike in 1994, were passed up by the NFL and NBA, and have never returned. And that was the top sport. What do you think will happen with the WNBA? All of this momentum would be shattered and perhaps never recovered. But this person, David Sampson, properly explains what happens next. So he managed MLB teams for 20 years. So he's really knowledgeable in negotiations. He was asked what would happen if the players refused to budge and did not meet their demands.
Maybe the end of the WNBA. The players will move. The biggest thing they did wrong, they said this is their moment. And so they've put a lot of pressure on themselves. They put themselves in a corner where they feel like they have to get it or it's like a major loss. And so if you had any ability to invest and you wanted to start a league to compete with the WNBA, this is the time. That could be the end of the WNBA.
Oh, and numerous women's leagues have seen this coming. Unrivaled, a 3-on-3 league, and Project B, a 5-on-5 league, have already signed scores of prominent WNBA players, and both leagues are guaranteeing them large salaries and perks. But that would obviously be a significant step back, because other leagues lack the momentum and appeal of the WNBA, and it would split up all of the players. Much like if the NBA fell apart, yes, we'd still follow the players, but if they were split into 2 leagues, it would be terrible. So, as weird as it seems, we might actually see these players go on strike, and the W may take a knock it can't recover from. However, the NBA is also experiencing a lot of turbulence right now, if you prefer. What exactly is going on with Chris Paul in this video? Because we finally know what occurred with him and the Clippers, and the story there unfolds similarly to this one, almost like a movie, and it's wild.